Ms Payne.
Thank you, Acting President. I rise to speak on this motion 1199 in Mr Puglielli's name on behalf of Legalise Cannabis Victoria. This motion requires the Legal and Social Issues Committee to inquire into, consider and report by the 1st of September 2026 on the scale and scope of anti-LGBTIQA+ hate crimes occurring in Victoria. This comes in the wake of a spate of hate crimes last year in which members of the LGBTIQA+ community were targeted via dating apps. While the exact nature of the violence varied, one thing was the same amongst all the attacks: a desire to shame and stigmatise gay men. These men would connect with what was unknown to them, which was a fake profile. The profile would then lure them to meet in person, and once they did, these men would then be met with violent attacks, verbal abuse, filming and threatening to out them. In one such recent case in Melbourne's Bayside suburbs, a man in his 30s organised to meet with someone he'd been talking to online. Someone who, at least from their profile, appeared to be who they said they were. But when he got there to this meeting spot, he was jumped by 3 men carrying metal bars. They attacked him, laughed at him, called him names and filmed it. He was so badly beaten he almost ended up in intensive care, and thought he may not get out alive. This kind of anti-LGBTIQA+ vigilantism is so distressing and has caused a lot of harm to the community. No one should be set up to go on with what they think is a date or a hookup and end up on the receiving end of violence. At the time of these attacks, 35 people were arrested just in Victoria, and many similar attacks were reported across the country. Some of the alleged offenders were as young as 13. The truth is there are likely more attacks that went without investigation because they were never reported. Shame, stigma and distrust of police all play a part in distorting these figures. There was a time where, for many decades in this state and across this country, there were essentially state-sanctioned gay bashings and killings, where police looked the other way at times and at times took part. Perpetrators were typically young men operating in groups, like we're seeing today. Our culture continues to reckon with how gay men and the LGBTIQA+ community more generally were treated for far too long. While we have come a long way, we see parts of this culture repeating itself, as this motion has identified. The drivers of this resurgence are complex: a rise in homophobia, and these kinds of hate crimes don't exist in isolation. Understanding how we have gotten here yet again will help us address these trends before things get even worse. Another vital part of this motion is an investigation into anti-LGBTIQA+ influences and hate groups, including those sharing far-right, misogynistic and homophobic alpha male content. In the modern age, perpetrators are equipped with access to the internet and anonymity that presents its own new risks. At the same time, social media has helped to normalise behaviours and attitudes that our society has worked so hard to move into the past. No more is this seen than in young men who are faced by challenges to traditional masculinity, seeking out answers and people to blame. This kind of othering for the purpose of laying blame happens all across different groups in our society, to immigrants, to women, to the LGBTIQA+ community. This is a mammoth problem requiring a whole-of-society response. And it won't be solved by this inquiry, but it presents a starting point to address this kind of radicalisation. Importantly, this inquiry will also be tasked with investigating strategies to counter anti-LGBTIQA+ influence, particularly among young people, the adequacy of current responses to preventing these crimes and the adequacy of current supports for victim survivors, and ways to improve public safety and e-safety for LGBTIQA+ community members. These are all worthwhile areas of investigation, and as a member of the Legal and Social Issues Committee, I look forward to being part of this inquiry. Legalise Cannabis Victoria will be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Payne.